Justin, thank you so much for being here. My name is Melissa Angel. I'm Inc.'s policy correspondent, and joining me here today is Brannin McBee. He's the Chief Development Officer at CoreWeave, and for those who don't know, CoreWeave is an AI cloud computing company based out in Livingston, New Jersey, and they're largely responsible for powering a lot of the infrastructure that is running AI that our country is currently using. Brannin, thank you so much for being here. I wanted to just give a quick little overview. CoreWeave, they're operating 33 data centers in the country and counting. There's more on the way. They've also locked down $26.2 billion worth of contracts with OpenAI alone. And on top of all of that, they've also IPO'd this year in what was seen as one of the buzziest IPOs, and is also considered one of the first pure AI plays in the public markets. So Brannin, I wanted to start off by asking, do you think we're in a bubble this year with AI?
You know you have a great moderator when she starts off with the spicy questions. Look, we have a really interesting seat in this sector in that we're supporting the world's leading AI labs and enterprise adopters of AI. And we see exactly what they're doing with the infrastructure. You know, we're not only building this compute at immense scale, we're supporting solving engineering problems. We're seeing the use cases that they're solving for their clients. And everything leads towards, not only is it not a bubble, there is just nowhere near enough infrastructure to keep up with the demand that's out in the market. I mean, I think it's entirely realistic that we have no opportunity really to meet the demand profile that exists in AI today, but before the end of the decade. And so what we've seen that's been really exciting for us from the client side is a move towards inference and a rapid scaling of inference, right? So that is indicative of commercialization of AI. They're driving revenue, they're driving profit off of leveraging inference for their workloads. And the customer behavior is changing as well, such that clients are, whereas like 2 years ago, we would be signing 3-year contracts with clients for committed use compute. Now it's 5 years, 6 years for the exact same infrastructure. And it's because they're saying, we need to use this compute not only for training next generation foundation models, but also for running inference on it for the next 5-6 years. And I think everything is supportive of this is not a bubble. In fact, it's kind of the opposite of there is just not enough capacity to meet demand that's out there.
Right, right. And what do you think has changed in recent years in terms of that growing interest?
I mean, you know, for me, it's like how I use ChatGPT now for everything, right? Like, whereas I would go to Google before and search for things and get links and have to, you know, spend time going through to identify answers, I can now use ChatGPT for so many tasks. And that change is that driving of inference, driving of true products that are in there. And, you know, we've really seen an inflection point, I'd say, starting in August of this year, of just yet again a lurch in demand, and for clients saying, we need more infrastructure, we need it for longer, and we need the best product that's in the market, and that's what CoreWeave provides.
Mm-hmm. So how should businesses be thinking about building with or around AI in the next few years?
Those that are needing to leverage direct infrastructure at scale, I think we're seeing those entities procure infrastructure at a faster pace because of this lack of access to compute, right? Like, compute is largely sold out for the next 6 to 12 months, which I think is a reality that people are still grappling with. Because if you compare that to like the 2010s, when SaaS was scaling, it was like unlimited resources, right? Like, you want to go start a new SaaS product, like you head over to AWS and there's plenty of resources there to do that. Whereas today, compute has become the bottleneck. And you see CEOs at leading AI labs talk about it all the time, like the memes of like melting GPUs and not having enough capacity, and talking about bringing more GPUs online. They're dead serious. Like, they do not have enough access to compute, and infrastructure has become a bottleneck. And I think people sometimes don't appreciate like the sheer scale of these facilities. I mean, you walk into these sites and they're not one football field, they're like 50 football fields wide. They're these massive deployments, and that's just one of many data centers that are in operation and construction, and they're immense physical engineering feats that don't just kind of pop up out of nowhere. So going back to my statements earlier, like this infrastructure bottleneck is going to persist, and it's becoming more constrained as AI demand is growing, and it's truly inflecting right now, and it's a fascinating thing to watch.
And I think we're already seeing it. There's new data out this week from Gartner that shows that there's an increase in AI spend amongst companies. So as companies are looking to scale their use of AI, what's your advice to them?
We sit so much more on the infrastructure side. So like our perspective is like direct consumers of GPUs versus consumers of the software. So I'll answer it from that perspective, which is entities need to be procuring their committed multi-year use of infrastructure sooner rather than later. Like these resources are truly becoming more inaccessible, and they're critical path to scaling a product. So I would say if your company directly leverages GPUs, you need to be accessing and securing them now.
What do you think is the most common mistake companies are making when they're looking to integrate AI?
I think it might be almost moving too fast, right? Like there's a little bit of a crawl, walk, run cadence that should still be used, and people think like, oh, my peers are using AI, and that must mean I have to integrate AI across my entire business, and we're falling behind without it. I think that's probably moving too quickly, and instead it's like start more with your basics, empower your workforce to understand and leverage AI, and that really starts with like just accessing data, right? Like if you think about your business and all your disparate documents that sit in a Google Drive or a OneDrive somewhere, like just quite simply making that more accessible and approachable and having like true repositories of data truth available to clients or to employees, that's a really empowering thing. But that's like starting at the crawl component of integrating AI, which is just right-sizing your business internally and then beginning to expand it beyond there.
Last month, CoreWeave announced it's launching a venture arm where it'll invest in startups. And I understand a lot of this primary focus here is on startups that are either seed or Series A, though those investments can also come pre or post those stages. We're sitting in a room right now filled with founders. I'm wondering, and they're probably also wondering, what makes a company stand out to you?
Companies that are solving unique compute-intensive problems are the ones that we're trying to support. And we have a really interesting commodity to work with within these investment processes, right? Like when people are going out and raising their seed, Series A, Series B rounds, they're raising money largely to go procure compute resources, right? So there's a second step they have to go through after they complete the round. They then have to like go find the GPUs and find a good operator of that infrastructure. Whereas we're able to bring that directly into the process. So we're investing with both dollars in the form of just direct capital, but also compute resources. And so we give our portfolio companies direct access to that compute as they're closing their rounds, and it's an immediate accelerant for the process. A really exciting aspect of that to me is our ability to partner with venture and partner with private equity within their investment processes as the compute provider for their portcos.
And I understand these are some pretty hefty checks too. I mean, reportedly it's been in the 7 to 9 figures, right?
Yeah. We kind of move. We scale with the client. Mm-hmm. We absolutely move into the 9-figure range.
Can you discuss a bit more beyond the actual capital that you're extending, also just kind of the power of partnership here? How you're working with these companies either on the ground or just some of the lessons learned that you're imparting onto them?
Yeah, I think it's largely on the engineering side. Mm-hmm. Right, like the compute resources are, go without saying how important that is to the portcos, but we are supporting the world's leading entities in a very diversified way, right? Like effectively anyone who is at scale in AI is using CoreWeave. And that gives our engineering team this amazing feedback loop of consistently solving problems for the entire sector, and we can take that information and bring it back to our portfolio companies. We can bring it back to our clients. And so working with CoreWeave is not only an ability to access compute, it's an ability to access answers.
Mm-hmm. I understand there's a form that people can use to apply, but what's the primary mechanism that you're finding these companies outside of that?
Outside of that, I'd say it's these partnerships with venture capital, with private equity, and kind of developing these bi-directional relationships with them. They're bringing their investment ideas and opportunities directly into us as well. And then we kind of run our formal weekly investment process around it. Okay.
Any preview that you're able to share on just the general tech that you've invested in that excites you?
There's one company, Moon Valley, that we supported recently, and they are doing AI generative video content, and they're training their models on they're training their models directly from like studios, right? So it's all licensed content. As opposed to like just going out and scraping all of YouTube or all of Facebook and getting information from there, and having these specific content approved models and licensing effort, I think will be really disruptive for the media and entertainment sector. And I think you're gonna see more movement in that direction.
And it kind of also nods toward the direction of regulation, I think, in that respect, in terms of content moderation, and we've seen just the proliferation of deepfakes and AI usage. Who do you think is responsible here in terms of setting up those guardrails?
Oh my gosh,
Sorry.
No, it's such a complicated question, right? Because the space is moving so quickly, right? Like we have new tech being introduced on a weekly basis, and we're relying on a regulatory institution that doesn't move at that pace, but it's going to need to somehow. So I think it is some level of government regulation, but there's so many risks associated with that because they could slow down the technological innovation of the most important technology that we're probably going to see in our lives. And that technology is not just going to impact your ability to, make GIFs and memes on your phone, but it's also going to impact education of your children. It's going to impact healthcare for our lives, for our parents, for our kids. And I think it's immensely important to have a regulatory framework that allows for innovation while also protecting its consumers.
What do you think the US should be doing to stay ahead in this quote unquote AI race?
I think the US is doing everything it can to stay ahead with its investments in power, with its trying to reduce hurdles to be able to access more infrastructure. I mean, I think this administration is being very proactive in the way that it's encouraging AI investment in the US.
And I also wanted to get into just, again, some of CoreWeave's personal experiences. I understand that in this venture arm partnership that you guys are embarking on right now, you also kind of look to be imparting the lessons learned on sales strategies that you guys have gleaned yourselves from customers like Microsoft and IBM, and was wondering if you could share just with the rest of the room right now what some of those might be.
The lessons learned from working with those entities?
Mm-hmm. In terms of sales strategy specifically?
Oh, go fast and go big.
Yeah.
No, so supporting our clients at scale, I think, has been the most impactful sales strategy that we've had. You come in with keep it simple, stupid documents, right? Like as simple as possible. You don't overcomplicate things, and then you just go deliver. And what we deliver is just quite simply the best product in the market. And I think that engineering feedback loop that we were talking about earlier is such a critical vector for our business to consistently deliver the best product in the market. Mm-hmm. We wouldn't be able to do that if we weren't having these deeply entwined conversations on an engineering level with all of our clients, right? So it's not just like building compute, handing it over and saying, good luck, hope it works for you. It's ongoing support of running supercomputers. And these are the most complex engineering feats that we've ever delivered, arguably. And it's a constant source of learning and opportunity, and being at the forefront of that enables us to keep our position in market.
If 2025 was the year where we saw a lot of companies start to adopt a lot of AI pilots and start kind of wading into these waters in terms of integration, a lot of predictions for next year suggest that we're going to see a lot more widespread AI enterprise adoption. And I'm wondering, as we start to see this pace pick up, which industries do you think stand to gain the most, and also the ones that stand to be disrupted the most?
I think we've seen some announcements how the banking sector recently. I mean,
Right.
you had OpenAI famously yesterday. It was reported that they're hiring a bunch of ex-investment bankers to build modeling. But outside of just doing spreadsheets, I think the financial services sector is sprinting into AI. We have strong partnerships and support entities like Jane Street, right? And that's a leading trading firm in the U.S. And so I see it moving rapidly through financial services. I think that's within a year for true scaling efforts there. If you were to expand that to 5 years, what are the areas I'm most excited about? I'd say it's education and healthcare.
What specific use cases do you see there, those two sectors specifically?
I think broadly across the two of them is AI enables individualism. It enables this idea to take topics, to take healthcare and research and have an output for an individual, as opposed to like, hey, here, second graders, this is what you're supposed to learn, go learn this thing. It's, no, here's a person, and this person is gonna learn math, science, writing at different rates. And to me, it's so exciting to have a technology that can be adaptive for those different learning curves for education. And I think the healthcare side is almost self-explanatory. I mean, we have already these applications within cancer for early screening efforts. It's going to be drug discovery. It's going to be empowering doctors to be more impactful within the patient room with companies like Open Evidence that have seen immense adoption so far. So I'm thrilled to be supporting the infrastructure that is going to be powering these very impactful changes over the coming years.
Absolutely. What trends do you think will define the next generation of AI? In other words, what should businesses be preparing for right now?
Yeah, on a technology level, we think it's absolutely reinforcement learning. We recently acquired a company, OpenPipe, that specializes in reinforcement learning. I think that the trend broadly, though, on the infrastructure side is just going to continue to be just more scale. Mm-hmm. Right? Like there is just simply not enough compute today, and I don't see how there's going to be enough compute this decade to support the demand profile out there. And as we say to our clients frequently, like you could have the best product in the world, but if you don't have the infrastructure to bring that product to market, like it just won't matter. I think that trend is really going to continue, and if anything, it's accelerating.
And that also seems to be CoreWeave's focus as well. I mean, you guys have already acquired 3 companies this year. Talk to us more just about what that looks like in terms of those new integrations, and especially as you also have to integrate not just the technology, but even just company culture, right?
Yeah, company culture is incredibly important for us to maintain. I mean, I think we were 300 people 2 years ago, and this year we had an offsite in Atlanta with nearly 1,800 employees at it.
Wow.
With 200 attending virtually. I mean, talk about a room to be in, right? So where do we go from here? We have an ability to know where the puck is going based upon supporting this diverse set of clients. I think you're going to see us moving more up the stack vertically with software services that our clients are asking for. and we'll continue to be active and in not only investing in, but acquiring companies that are vertically integrated into CoreWeave.
And as we see this expansion of AI coming in the coming years, talk to us more about the power aspect here.
In terms of the consumption of power
Right,
within AI.
What's powering the compute here?
Yeah. Look, I wish that we were on a more consistent cadence of development of nuclear generation resources in the US. I think that AI is going to push us back in that direction quickly. But it still takes 10 years to go build nuclear resources from scratch right now. I think that this is going to force innovation on the grid. Hopefully it can force more adoption of smart grid use. Your shorter term resources will be, wind, solar, natural gas, to build out near term generation capacity out there. But it'll remain a problem. I think that problem of accessing scale power today exists now, and it's only going to get worse from here. And
on that note, lastly, where do you think CoreWeave is going to end up in the next year? Looking ahead, December 2026, where do you hope to be?
Oh my gosh, it'll be a question of how many employees are at our offsite next year, and
sure.
We'll see if it, is 3,000, 4,000. It's growing rapidly, and CoreWeave is positioned today as the essential AI cloud, and we support the largest companies on the planet and the companies that are in this room today looking to scale to become the largest companies in the planet, producing AI resources for their clients. And so that is what we are executing on now and what we'll continue executing on going forward.
Excellent. Well, those are all the questions for me. Brannin, thank you so much. All right, cheers.
Thank you.